Hi guys, Annette here. I have a recipe for you today. I'm going to be making some whole pinto beans. I guess they're sort of a Mexican style friend of my family, very close friend of my family who's Hispanic. Her mom taught me this recipe of how to make whole beans or frijoles. And these are just pinto beans. And the seasonings are pretty basic. You can serve it with some rice, or you can serve it as a side dish to Mexican food. The leftovers can be made into refried beans. I like to just eat them in a bowl with some rice. I may also make a video on how to make some Spanish rice also to go with these. There is bacon in the recipe right there, or salt pork, whatever you can get. Salt pork is the original recipe, but my friend does use either depending on what's available. In my area, it's a little harder to find salt pork and it's more expensive. So I'm using some bacon ends and pieces that I have just like chopped up pretty rough. They're not a super small dice because I like to have some chunks of meat in there when I eat my beans. And I weighed that on my scale because it was part of a big package of ends and pieces that I got. I like to get the ends and pieces because they're so much cheaper. And that's about 13 ounces. So you could use like a 12-ounce pack of bacon if that's what you can find. And if you wanted to lessen the amount of bacon, you can also do that, or salt pork. You don't need this much. This is just what I had, and it's going to add good flavor. It's actually pretty meaty. I mean, obviously it's bacon, so there's fat in there too, but a lot of the pieces were really meaty, so I'm not too worried about like the fat. And that's the only fat that's going into this meal here. This could also be a pantry meal if you used canned ham or canned bacon to make your beans. You could also leave the meat out completely. And if you wanted to add some flavor, like this is bacon grease that I save and I put in the fridge to use as a flavoring for food when I cook. So you could also add a couple of tablespoons of bacon grease in if you didn't actually have bacon. Or you can just make it completely meatless. And you could probably just saute your onions and your garlic in just a little bit of oil, and then add your water and your beans and your seasonings, and you wouldn't even have to use meat. But today I'm using, like I said, that's about 13 ounces of chopped bacon. There's about 5 cloves of garlic. I just use my garlic press to get those nice and fine. There's 1 medium onion. I have 1 pound of pinto beans that are picked over. I actually have never found a rock. I don't make beans super often, but I guess there can be pebbles in them. The Needy Homesteader just made a video of canning pinto beans, and she found a couple of little pebbles in hers, so definitely look them over. These did not have any in there. There's some halves in there, but I don't really care about that. That doesn't bother me. It just kind of, they break down a little bit more and they'll thicken the liquid, which I don't mind. And then for seasonings, we have a half teaspoon of pepper, a half teaspoon of salt, a half teaspoon of granulated garlic, a half teaspoon of granulated onion, and 1 teaspoon of cumin. I will probably put a little bit of cayenne in there too, but I'll just sprinkle it in. There's 4 cups of water right here, but I'm going to be probably adding 8, and then I'll have another 4 cups on reserve in case I need to add it. I don't like my beans to be too soupy, so I try to start with 8 cups of water and then see if I need more. There's my stock pot back there. It's a 6-quart stock pot. That'll be plenty big for what we're doing today. And then a lot of people soak their beans before they make them. I don't. My friend who taught me this recipe has never soaked her beans. Just put, everything in. I'll show you as we go. You bring them up to a good boil. You boil them for about 15-20 minutes, and then you turn it down to a simmer, and then you just let it go for, it probably takes about 4 hours to get the beans to a nice tender consistency. maybe even longer depending on how soft you like your beans. You can do this in your electronic pressure cooker if you have one. It'll like cut the time. I think it only takes about 60 minutes and you'll have perfect beans. So if you need it a lot quicker, use your electric pressure cooker. I'm going to go ahead and do it on the stove today. It's pretty cold where I live and it's not dinner time yet by any means. It's about 3 p.m. and I don't mind eating a little later. I work night shifts, so I'm pretty used to it. So if these are done by 7 or 8, that'll be fine for me. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to put my burner on, let's see here. I'm going to put my burner on medium, or probably medium high, because I'm going to start rendering the bacon just a little bit. And I don't want my bacon to get crispy, but I want it to release a little bit of the fat and start sauteing the onions just a little bit so they can release all of their flavor. So I'm just going to put my bacon right in there, get that going. Once that starts to get a little warmed up, I'll add the onions and the garlic and I'll bring you guys back. Okay guys, so the bacon has started rendering down some of its fat there. I'm going to go ahead and add the 1 medium onion. Give that a good stir. And these are going to cook for a long time, so they don't need to get even translucent or anything. I just like to cook them a little bit to get them nice and hot, start releasing, like I said, the flavors. You can get a little fond on the bottom of the pan sometimes from the bacon, and it just all adds to the flavor. Also going to add in the garlic, if I can get it to go in. I might have to put you guys off camera, but I'm going to add that in, and then I'll be adding in the spices. Alright, so onions and garlic are in along with the bacon. It's cooking down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and add these seasonings in. Like I said, it's a ½ teaspoon each of granulated garlic, granulated onion, black pepper, and salt, and 1 teaspoon of cumin. Go ahead and put that all right in there. Stir that around, and it already smells so incredibly good in here. With just the bacon and the onions and the garlic, smells so good. When you add the cumin, it smells really, really good. This recipe may need a little bit more salt at the end, but I like to add less salt because there's salt from the bacon. And if you put too much salt, I heard it can kind of harden the skins of your beans. I don't know if that's true or not, but I like to pretty much let it simmer with just these spices, and then towards the end I taste it for salt and sometimes heat. Like I said, I add in some cayenne. So that's plenty cooked. It doesn't need to be any more cooked than that. So I'm going to go ahead and add the beans. And I'm going to add 4 cups of water. There we go. Give that a little bit of a stir. I'm going to turn my burner up on high to get this to a good boil. And I'm going to get 4 more cups of water and also add that in. Alright guys, so there are now 8 cups of water in with the beans. And like I said, I'm going to keep 4 cups on reserve to add if I need to. Most recipe packages say about 12 cups of water to 1 cup of beans. I like to do a little bit less than that and then add more if I need it. Some recipes say to cover it with like 3 inches above the beans of water. So it's all kind of like a personal preference thing. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on this, so I don't think that I need to worry, you know, about the beans running dry at all because I'll be watching it. In your electronic pressure cooker, I think the last time I made beans in mine, I just put the water up to the max fill line because my pressure canner is pretty small. I think it's a 4 or 5 quart. And that worked fine for me. So it just depends on how you're doing these. And like today I said, I'm doing them on the stove. So I'm just going to bring these to a boil. And then I'll put the lid on and put it at a simmer. And I'll show you guys that when it comes to a boil. Okay guys, so this has come up to a boil. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit, but I'm going to let it boil for a good 15-20 minutes. It helps get the beans starting to swell, and then it also, I think if there's any kind of like an enzyme or anything on the bean, that's part of the reason why you get digestional upset or gas. The boiling process helps to eliminate that. So I'm going to boil these for probably about 20 minutes, and then I will put the lid on and put them on a simmer. Alright guys, so this has been boiling for about 25 minutes. Sorry if you hear the fan is on. You can see how much the beans have already expanded. They're pretty much the size they're going to be when they're done now, but they're not soft yet, so they need to cook for quite a bit longer. You can see that they're not speckled anymore. Like when they're dry, they've turned kind of an all tan brown color. And that's what they'll look like when they're all through as well. That speckling goes away as they cook. And since this is going to simmer for a couple of hours with evaporation and everything, I'm going to go ahead and add 2 more cups of water. This is kind of where I want it when it's finished, but since it's going to simmer for so long, I want to make sure that there's water in there. So I'm going to put 2 more cups of water in. I'm going to bring this back up to a boil, and then I will turn it down to a simmer and let it simmer for a couple of hours. And when it's all through, I'll bring you guys back so you can have a peek at what it looks like. So I will be seeing you in just a few seconds. Hi guys, here is the finished product of our beans. They are completely done. They actually only took about 2.5 hours to cook. Depending on how old your beans are, they may take a little longer to rehydrate and cook fully, so just keep checking on them. These beans are perfect. You can see that there is some liquid, but not a ton. That's how I like mine. I'm going to make some rice to go with these, and I think I'm going to make a video on that as well. So I'll make a Spanish rice video. It's probably going to be a separate video than this one. But I wanted to show you how they turned out. Everything is really cooked well. You can see the beans are still whole. They're not mushy, but they're soft. All the bacon is really tender and soft, and the onions are pretty much, you know, disintegrated in there. You can serve these with some salsa on top, some sour cream. You can serve them with some fresh diced onion and some cilantro. They're really good. Like I said, they can be a side or they can be your whole meal. For me, they're going to be my whole meal. There's plenty of bacon meat in there, and beans are protein, so you don't even have to have meat with them anyway. And if you make this Spanish rice, you can make maybe a salad or something on the side, and it will be a complete meal. So that is our Mexican-style whole pinto beans. Thanks for watching, guys. Sorry I haven't been on in a while. I had a super bad cold. I was like dead to the world pretty much for 2 weeks. So, and then I was back to work. So I've been working, but I'm going to try and get some videos filmed and posted up for you guys. And thank you so much for your patience. I hope you guys enjoy my videos. If you like them, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe and share and comment. I love to hear your guys' comments. I love to chat with you and comment back. So if you have any questions or anything, just let me know. If you want to see certain cooking or canning videos, let me know that too. And until next time, guys, I'll see ya. Bye.